LX Nation, stand the up. We got some brand new esports boxing club footage released courtesy by Steel City Interactive. And overall so far, the hype has been reignited. ESBC has made some significant improvements and also some critiques that I would like to cover in this trailer. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into it. The trailer opens up with footage between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, and the first thing that I notice is that number one, the footwork in this looks awesome, and it looks very, very close to what the real life counterparts would look like in the ring. And another thing too that I'm really impressed with is how Tyson Fury is moving in the game, and how he has that herky-jerky motion that you usually see in his fights. And I think they did a really good job of replicating that in the game. And I'm going to get back to that movement part in a moment because I do have a little bit more to say, but we're going to focus on the next segment of the trailer. So in this segment, they're talking about some of the new camera updates that you can see in Esports Boxing Club during gameplay. They focus on 3 different camera angles, which will be for the wide view and the cinematic view and the close-up view. And to be honest with you, I would say out of the ones that I saw, I like the wide angle the most, only because you're able to see the whole ring and you'll be able to use and capitalize off of the footwork that ESBC has in the game. The cinematic camera angle, however, I think is an amazing view for those who like to play or like to simulate your fights. And I think with that camera view, I think that's going to be great for that. So I'm really excited to see, CPU versus CPU simulations on ESBC and how that's going to turn out. What I would like to see is a camera view that's similar to the wide camera angle setting in Fight Night Champion. And the reason why I say that is because in that particular setting, it locks your fighter to either the left side or the right side. And the reason why I think that's important is that it helps with distance management and distance manipulation when trying to find certain angles with your punches. And to be locked on one side is much more helpful versus being able to move all the way around the ring, and sometimes you're in a vertical view of your opponent, sometimes you're in the right side, the left side. It's just too much variables going on, and I think that can hinder someone with their distance management during gameplay. But overall, I am impressed with the camera views, and I'm hoping to see more, and I can't wait to see what they do with that. So now we're going to talk about some of the new inside fighting mechanics in ESBC. And it cuts to a clip of Rocky Marciano fighting Joe Louis. And you can see right off the bat that Marciano is putting together an impressive string of punches on the inside. Honestly, with what I'm seeing here, there's really not much to go by, because if you look at this trailer, you can see that each one of the punches are all head punches. And with the punches, while the combination of punches look great, there's no hip twist or any kind of hip movement to the punches, which makes them look very janky in my opinion. And also too, during the inside fighting, there was no body shots seen or thrown during that portion of the trailer. And what I really want to see the most is I want to see how impactful the body punches are, the uppercuts to the body and things like that. And with Canelo being in the game, I would like to think that they have some really good motion capture footage of his body shot punches, and I'm looking forward to seeing that in the ESBC. So in short, I would say that the inside fighting in Esports Boxing Club right now looks inconclusive at best. There just really wasn't enough to show, and I think they missed an opportunity to really showcase more of the inside fighting nuances like body punching, body uppercuts, and body hooks, and that you see none of that there. Instead, you get a lot of headshots with a very noticeable lack of hip movement to the punches. And I think that would be one of the things that they need to look into tweaking to make the punches look more impactful in ESBC. So, like I said, I would say this is inconclusive at best. I'm looking forward to seeing more trailers or more footage of the inside fighting, but the lack of hip movement on the punches definitely is a concern to me. But, I hope that they continue to take their time with this, and I look forward to seeing what they come up with in the next gameplay update. Moving on to the next segment. So in this segment here, Todd Grisham announces the newest boxer that's been added to ESBC, which is Kell Brook. And for those who don't know, Kell Brook is a very, very underrated fighter out of the UK who's been in several high-profile championship bouts. Someone that will be a bad matchup for any elite fighter. And I imagine that the UK is very, very excited with his upcoming matchup against Amir Khan. I'm not sure when that fight is, but I'm looking forward to seeing it. I've got my money on Khan. If he's even a shell of his former self, I think his hand speed will definitely give him trouble. And I don't know, after that knockout that Kell Brook had from Terrence Crawford, I don't know, man. I don't know if he's going to be the same after that. So my prediction in that fight is Amir Khan is going to beat him by decision. The hand speed will be too much for him. I'm glad to see that both Kell Brook and Amir Khan is in ESBC, so we'll be able to simulate this fight in the game as well. So, hey, congratulations, Kell Brook, for being in the game, and I'm looking forward to other future announcements. Moving on. So in this feature here, they talk about the critical zone function in ESBC. And it cuts to a clip of Caleb Plant and Carl Froch in a fight where you can see that there's punches that are being thrown that causes different types of damage depending on where the punch lands. And to my understanding, what my interpretation of this means is that each fighter will have certain hot spots, so to speak, on their head to where if you land a punch at a certain part, it will do more damage in some areas and then do less damage in other areas. I think that this is a very interesting feature to implement in ESBC, and I think this also adds to the realism that they're trying to achieve with the game. So I think this is going to be very important on when to know how to place certain punches and to set up certain shots too, especially when you're in, trouble or any kind of situation where you need a knockout to win. So I imagine that critical zone function will definitely be a critical part going forward. And I do want to also point out too that I love how the sweat just flies off of their head when they connect with a punch. So, keep up the good work on that, and I'm looking forward to seeing more on that. So let's go to the next segment. So it's been already talked about to death that Esports Boxing Club is a promising game, but they also need to really, really work on the punch mechanics. And as you can see in the gameplay trailer, you can definitely see some improvement in the punching. I did say in the Inside Fighting segment that they should work more on the hip thrusts on throwing some of the punches, and you can see some of that there in some of the animations, but I hope they continue to keep tweaking it. It's pretty clear that Steel City has a very high standard of what they want the punches to look like, and I appreciate them being that transparent, saying, look, we know that you guys aren't satisfied with the punches, neither are we, so we're going to continue to keep working on it. So no complaints from me there. I don't see a reason to give harsh criticism towards Steel City in regards to the punching in ESBC, because like I said, they know it needs work, we know it needs work, so really the only thing to do is let them work. So now we cut the footage of Deontay Wilder doing some shadow boxing in a training ring. And here they talk about how they've added new different types of punches to ESBC. Before they had about 30 to 35 punches for each fighter, but after doing some consulting with professional boxers, they've upped that to about 60 punches. And more is better in this case, especially when it comes to the punching. In my opinion, I think this is going to work similar to how Fight Night Champion is, where you can use the buttons to throw a specific stock amount of punches, but then if you use the analog sticks, it also opens you up to different types of punching, different variations, and different angles. And I believe that Steel City is working with a similar approach here for ESBC, but we'll have to see. They also mentioned too that they will be adding power modifiers to each and every punch for each fighter, which again, I think that's similar to what Fight Night Champion does, where you can use the RB, or I think R2 on PlayStation, where you can modify each punch to throw a power shot. So I like that addition there, and again, I have no complaints about that. I think that's a good idea, and I definitely am excited to see them really, really key in and focus on the punching. It seems like they have a very, very strong desire to get it right, so I'm happy about what I'm seeing so far with the different punch variations. So Let's go to the next segment. So here we get to my favorite part of the trailer. And what they're talking about here is they're talking about how you can see a lot of the muscle twitching and also the face damage happen to fighters in real time as they're getting punched, which is a very cool feature. But what I really want to focus on though is the level of footwork and how Tyson Fury is ducking and slipping and turning and dodging those punches. And it looks so realistic to his real life counterpart that it's scary. My favorite part in this part right here is when he turns his fighter. You'll see him just go all the way and make Deontay Wilder face a different segment of the ring where he's going towards center ring. And I love how he has that level of movement. And you can also see things like where he's tapping his face and tapping his chin while he's in his stance. And you can just see the level of detail on Fury as he's just ducking and dodging those punches. And I think he's going to be a defensive wizard in this game. In fact, he's probably going to be my main character at heavyweight. I don't know, but I really love this part, and I love, again, how he's turning his opponent. And it just goes to further show that the footwork in ESBC is going to be otherworldly. So, again, I'm very impressed, and I can't wait to see more. And then they cut to a Q&A segment where they ask certain questions, and Josh the Silverback asked the developers how the judging system is going to work. And right now they don't have too many details to provide, but they did mention that they will have 3 judges and they're going to all have different types of scorecard and scoring styles, I guess you could say. My only thing that I want to bring up, and this is a very, very important point of contention for the developers if they're listening, is please do not allow each game to have a definitive winner or loser. And what I mean by that is allow there to be draw matches. In Fight Night Champion, one of the biggest things that I think hurts competitive play is the fact that there always has to be a definitive winner and a definitive loser. And because of that, you can get some very unfair score outcomes with the judges, and outright the game will rig it to where the other fighter who they want to favor to win, they'll give them power advantages, all types of different stuff. And I think this could be rectified if they have even draws and things like that in online ranked play. So then they talk about the control schemes in terms of the punching, and they ask, will we be able to change it? And right now they answered that right now they're still experimenting and exploring different types of punching options. With 60 different types of punches, I don't know how many different types of control schemes you're going to be able to come up with, but I'm curious to see what they come out with. I think the stock controls right now are very similar to what Fight Night Champion is, where X is the jab, Y is the straight, and A and B are hooks. I believe X and A and Y and B are uppercuts. I could be wrong on that. And then they have also the analog punching. Again, I don't see anything being very different than Fight Night Champion in that regard. So I don't know. I don't think they'll be doing too much to the punching, but I'm curious to see what they come up with. And this last question they ask here, they ask which boxers are going to be in the base game and how the downloadable content is going to work. And while they didn't have too many details to divulge right now at the moment, they did mention that the DLC will be released over a period of time, and they clearly do not have enough time in the development schedule to release all of those boxes that they've announced all at once. So it's going to take more time to get these fighters scanned in and get their punching and motion capture and everything done. And they've also expressed difficulties with the pandemic, obviously. So there's still a lot more work to be done here, and they will be releasing more information on the stock fighters that will be coming out. We do know that Canelo, Claressa Shields, I believe Terrence Crawford, and a few others are going to already be in the game when it comes out. So I'm looking forward to playing as those fighters. And overall, I'm just looking forward to ESBC. From my general impression of the game is that's definitely a lot of improvements there, and I think they've reignited the hype amongst all the boxing gaming community. But I do want to say this, and this is a very important elephant in the room here. I mentioned earlier that I think that Esports Boxing Club, I predict, is a winter 2023 release. because it's clear as they've made significant progress, there's still a lot of work to be done, and I just don't know if it's going to be released this year. I say January, maybe February of next year. I could see it coming out, but I don't know about any time before that. And then there's the looming shadow of the rumored return of the Fight Night series, which I think impacts the release schedule of ESBC significantly. Because my thing is do they want to release this game before an announcement or after an announcement? Because I do believe that if EA does announce another Fight Night series, I do believe that's going to kill a little bit of the hype that ESBC has gotten over the years due to a lack of a boxing game. But 2 boxing games is better than 1. And 1 boxing game is damn sure better than no boxing game over the past 11 years. So, with that said, I'm going to be paying very close attention to the release of UFC 5 because we'll know more on what EA is planning to do after that series. And if the rumors are true about there being a new Fight Night game, I would like to think that ESBC will be ramping up the development to where they can get at least the game out to a playable state to consumers sooner rather than later. But only time will tell. So guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Do you think that ESBC will be out this year? Or when do you think that ESBC will finally get a final release? And also, is your hype reignited for Esports Boxing Club, and are you excited about this update? Let me know what you guys think, and as always, thank you all for watching. LX Nation in the building, LX Sniper out. Talk to y'all later. Peace.